Hello everyone, how are you? Today we're going to be doing another pro match commentary. This was an Apex match that just happened very recently, although this is on the old patch. Of course, as you can see from this pretty large yellow bar you see on D.Va, she still has her full armor value. This was played between Lunatic High and Afreeca Red. Simply enough, Afreeca Red is the red team, so that's pretty easy. But this is a team composition you're probably not very familiar with, which is the Genji plus Tracer. No Winston though. It's not really that traditional all-in dive composition. You just have the D.Va and the Zarya, no Reinhardt. So this is an incredibly unique lineup that you don't see very much, and we're going to see them immediately walk in. Now, you don't need a Reinhardt when you just go in fast enough that the shield doesn't matter anyway. And we're going to see, actually, it's hard to pay attention because of this camera being just stuck on this Genji. I really don't like when the camera just follows Genjis around. It makes it very difficult to see. But if we check this out, we can see a small clip here of how Lunatic High, the blue team, their Reinhardt, is just kind of being kited around. He's not really getting any time on target. Yeah, he has a D.Va right next to him, but besides that, Miro is just this. That's the Reinhardt player, is just kind of walking around. He can't get too much out of it. So because of that, we're going to see Afreeca Red is going to come in here and be pretty successful again with this Reinhardt-less comp. Now, on King's Row, this is particularly potent because you have all these very mobile, very fast heroes. And remember, on King's Row, the first point, the attackers have a very short spawn, the shortest spawn in the entire game, actually, out of any other control point. So running these fast mobile heroes will let you just go in, trade out, doesn't matter, trade out as many people as you want, and you're just going to get there first because of that spawn advantage. And that's why they're going to be running the Tracer, played by Attune, the Genji, the D.Va, and of course a little bit more standard, right, but the Lucio and the D.Va do it as well. So on defense in King's Row, you really need to focus on staying alive as much as possible. The defensive Genji not really fulfilling that purpose very well. But you see a very offensive, very aggressive ultimate here by Tydala, the Genji player, playing for Afreeca Red. It's going to get a few kills. They're really pushing it right now, being very aggressive. And it's really just crazy, a little bit too aggressive, even if they had won that, so they lose that. Afreeca Red's going to be pushed back there, and they're going to lose the cart. But even if they had won that fight, I'm going to pause for just a second. You see the cart is here. The cart's here, so even if they won that fight, you see they burned the ultimate, they burned their blade in exchange for not much from Lunatic High. And it's not going to get them anything, because the cart's so far back that even if you win the fight, there's still another fight to go. So maybe that's something that you would have been looking to do if the cart was further along, or at least keep some people on the cart so that you can carry that momentum through. But going all 6 people all the way up isn't going to do much, because again, not carrying that cart through means that momentum is all just for nothing. And now we're going to see actually a nano boost comes out with no blade now on Tydala, again on Genji. I guess we're going to be focusing on him because the cameraman just loves him. He's going to be picked off, though, in the end, just barely. But Afreeca Red is going to go through and push this in. Now, again, Lunatic High is still running that Genji on defense. Again, really doing them no favors. Genji's very weak in this particular situation because Afreeca Red is just going full-out dive on them, and Genji has no way of stopping that. All Genji can do is kind of dive back and up again. A solo Genji can't do too much. So I really disagree with that defensive Genji choice, and we're seeing that it's not doing too much here. We're going to see also the Zarya ultimate come out comboed with the Genji blade. Now, the nano boost from last fight allowed the Genji to get this much earlier than they originally would have. They get a lot of picks out of it, but unfortunately they don't have quite enough DPS in the right spot. They managed to go through in the end, and Genji doing a lot of work. But then again, and I want to take a moment here. I know that this is supposed to be about the match, but I want to take a moment to actually point out the camera work of these tournaments. And I don't want to diss them or this isn't a big negative thing, but I found that some spectators in Overwatch tend to do this where they stand only on the star players and so, oh wow, that was flashy. Man, wasn't that awesome, guys? That was so cool. He used a katana and stuff. And that's nice, I guess. Probably the first time or second time we saw it, maybe the 5th time we saw it, way back a few months ago. But I would really like to start to see a little bit more wider view spectators It's something that's really been bothering me lately in the tournament scene. It's not every spectator, it's just some of them standing only on the Genjis, only on the Tracer. They're pretty much the worst heroes to be spectating because their cameras just go all over the place, and you can see I'm looking through these matches in Apex trying to get a good feel for them, but it's just so difficult, at least to do in a way that's easy for you guys to understand, because it's hard to be constantly talking about things that are off screen. But anyway, that's enough for that rant. As unsolicited as it was, we see no ultimates up actually for Afreeca Red except for their nano boost, meaning this shouldn't be too difficult to hold. We're going to see actually pretty scant Earth Shatter come out from Lunatic High on the blue team. Not going to hit too much, which is going to result in not enough impacts for these ultimates. However, we still have players up. We have Zumba on Baby Diva who goes down, but now we have the Tracer, and because we are on King's Row at the end here, the spawn is very short for the defenders. Just this one Tracer is going to make all the difference. Not enough reliable damage right now for the attackers to really take out that Tracer. Of course, Waru on Tracer doing a good job of just pacing around the cart, but because of that, they're able to come back, and now Afreeca Red is pushed back. 3 minutes left on clock, still very, very healthy. If they take it in the next push, 2 minutes on King's Row is not bad at all. We also see a pretty late, but eventually, better late than never, switch onto the soldiers, so no more Genji, and let's see how this does. I hope it does a little bit better in this particular case, although we do have the Diva Bomb and the Zarya ult especially up for Afreeca Red, but Toby, who is the Lucio player for Lunatic High, he has barrier up, which means we may be able to take this side. Depends on what the Diva Bomb does. Doesn't actually hit anyone, which is very good for, if you're on Lunatic High trying to defend here. And Tidala on Genji, who was just being an absolute menace before he goes down early on in the fight, and that's partly due to the fact that they have the Soldier now on Lunatic High on this defending side, which gives them a lot more reliable damage, just a lot better backline damage against this divey type of Genji thing we have going on. And we have lots of ults up now on Afreeca Red, so this is looking quite scary for Lunatic High, but I would imagine that once Tidala uses his ultimate and dies, that he would now swap off, because this is looking a little bit oppressive now. But we have the Nano Blade. It's very difficult to stop this with not much in the way of counter ultimates coming out from Lunatic High. It's very dangerous now in this meta because you're only running the one Lucio usually as far as defensive ultimates go. If you're Ana, I know they have Jaehong, but right, the sleep on the nano boosted ulting Genji is not always the easiest thing to do. And if you miss that sleep, things like Nano Blade are very, very hard to stop because, like I said, you only have that one defensive ult. That's the weakness of Ana. Her strengths outweigh the weaknesses, but you always have to be aware of that. We're still pushing through with the Afreeca Red, although they're looking pretty bad as, again, King's Row has these short spawns, and they definitely have to get back. Again, I would really like to see this Genji swap off now because the back line is looking a little bit too solid. And in fact, you can even see that we have the Winston swap as well. So with all that in mind, this is looking like quite a nasty field for a Genji, even for the Tracer right now. Maybe some hardier heroes, some more DPS heavy heroes, or maybe just go even harder on the dive if you want to. Like at this point, you can't really run this mid-range sort of mobile team composition anymore. It's just going to get shut down. There's too much stuff to kill it with. You either have to go all in on the dive or just go with more damage yourself. Diva Bomb is going to try to push back a little bit. Genji gets his ultimate again. We see he's getting the ultimates up very quickly, but it's not doing too much again just because of the weakness of the Genji pick in this particular situation. We're only 1 second left and not a lot of people left on the point. It's looking pretty bad for Afreeca Red to actually finish this up. We have a nano boost though on Lagerman playing the Zarya, which is going to buy them quite a bit of time. They still have 4-5 players coming up onto the point, but again, this is King's Row. Very easy to stall here. When Earthshatter comes out from Take This, the Reinhardt player almost gets booped off the ledge there, but it's still okay. The Earthshatter only hit one person. Zarya ultimate's going to come out as well, but the stall, again, like I was saying before, a proper stall on this map is very, very difficult. It's very hard to finish unless you have the proper team comp, and it looks like they're finally going to get through, actually. The real key to that fight is I just replay it one more time. I know people hate when I do that, but the key is Lagerman, again the Zarya player, waited quite a long time before finally, he's had his ultimate this entire time. He waited a very long time though before popping it, waited until more players got here. You see 1, 2, and now a third is going to come in as well. And once that happens, then the Zarya ultimate comes up. There it is. And so waiting very long time on Zarya, that's something that you Zarya players out there should definitely pay attention to. When you're in this ending position and you have your ultimate, don't just throw it out. Kind of, if you think you have the advantage and they're just trying to stall you out, wait until they build up 2 or 3 or even 4 members to finally pull that trigger. So with that, Afreeca Red did a full take on King's Row. With 0 seconds remaining though, let's move on to Lunatic High on offense. To take this map, of course, they need to do a full take and then also take the capture point as well. So not super mega easy to do, but definitely par for the course. As you see, very interesting. Very interesting. These Apex teams have been very interesting, I'm going to say, all day. I know I said interesting like 3 times there, but no Reinhardt on defense with a Genji and a Tracer. So I already said interesting too much. I'm not going to say any more interesting, but regardless to say, the Pharah player for Lunatic High is just decimating everything because nothing can really touch her. Although, of course, Genji has just been on fire this entire time. He's going to deal with the rest. And now, in this case, the weakness with Lunatic High is, well, they have no Reinhardt. And this is the time when something like a Widowmaker, something like a Soldier instead of the Genji, just long range so you can shoot from, take those longer angles that are afforded you by no Reinhardt. Right now, Lunatic High is not really taking advantage of the fact that there is, that really isn't here. And the fight's kind of crazy because of it. It's kind of insane, kind of different watching fights without Reinhardt, as we see Waru go in there as Genji, tries to reflect a little bit, and just not enough grouping from Lunatic High right now. Which is strange to say, of course, these are professional teams, they're very coordinated, but there we go, we see a little bit more standard play, and this is probably going to be very effective. A Roadhog with no Reinhardt. Remember, this is pre the hook rework, right? So there's no Reinhardt to stop any of this. And, we have the Nano Blade. We have all this stuff coming out. It's just, of course, it's going to win because Afreeca Red had the ult economy going into it. They'd already won a lot of fights, but I'm interested to see how quickly this all breaks down now that we have a Roadhog. The Reinhardt's really good. I don't know, but a Reinhardt pick this late might not be so good because remember that Earthshatter is a big part of the value of that hero. And when you're not starting to charge it until 2 minutes in, a lot of that value is lost. Now we have a Nano Blade coming out from a Lunatic High. These teams in Apex really like the Nano Blade. We're kind of getting old school now, as we see. Lagerman doing some spam crouching there. That's not going to work anymore with the new patch, of course. Diva Bomb is going to come out to zone some people out, even get a kill onto the Lucio now for Afreeca Red. And we can see how this swap panned out pretty much as expected. Lots of players going down now for Afreeca Red, the defending team. And this is going to be comfortably Lunatic High's point. Now, don't get me wrong, I can see what Red was going for with this sort of team composition. A lot really flanky stuff going on, trying to make it really chaotic. Now, a Reinhardt on the defending team isn't going to do much. Actually, we see a Genji Blade come out, but it's kind of a desperation. It's completely not going to do anything. The point was already capped by Lunatic High, but the goal of this is really just create so much chaos that a Reinhardt in the other team, because this team is specifically built to play against a Reinhardt triple tank meta, remember that. That's the entire point of this, and the point is to just surround the Reinhardt on all sides, really, like I said before in the very first fight of this entire match, take out his effectiveness by kiting around all over the place. But when you have this sort of point, this first point, and again, lots of really aggressive fights happening up here. A lot of ultimates being burned from both sides, but particularly on the side of Red, burning a lot of ultimates. You saw before the Blade, that was a lot earlier, but also now the Nano Boost. And this is really going to kind of bite them now that you see all these ults are now coming out for Lunatic High. And how much time did we really save? About 20 seconds now on Red. And, the cart is still in a kind of normal position. Now you're going to see all the ultimates come out. Diva Bomb comes out actually on both sides. And Zumba was trying to get back into the mech. Because remember, both Diva Bombs went out. But the red Diva Bomb took out the Lunatic High Diva as he was trying to get back into the mech. Overall, though, I can't see what's happening because of the camera, but there we go. Now I can see. And this is what I'm talking about. This fight is intentionally, this red comp is intentionally crazy, intentionally just trying to get all over the place, and it works much better in the street phase. There they just didn't have enough ultimates because they burned them all earlier, but it's okay. The cart was far enough back where there will get another team fight, but you can see how the streets phase is much more. Look at all those flanking paths, look at all these short angles. This is much better for this team comp than that first point, because on point A on King's Road, there's all those very long angles that you can see. You can see the point A from very far away, and Red eventually took advantage of that, but not until quite a while. So we see Warrior's going to use Genji Blade now. Missed actually quite a few shots, unfortunately. Finally take out Na'Vi playing Ana there, but it's too late as we see most of the team is already dead. Most of his team, rather, is already dead. Lunatic High with only 1 minute remaining to take this final point and 1 ultimate to their name versus we've seen Teodola's Genji Blade. It's very nasty. And he has it. And with no defensive ults for Lunatic High, it might be dicey. Like I said, 1 minute, less than 1 minute remaining. This is pretty much the last fight that we're going to get out of here. So, we do have the Tracer Bomb. It needs to find something. And with D.Va self-destruct on the side of Red as well, it's going to be difficult to get into this fight quickly enough to make much happen. But it's all down to this Blade, and we actually see it's going to take out the Lucio very early on. It's also going to take out the Zarya, as the very nicely done, by the way, with this D.Va self-destruct, zoning out everyone who could have potentially stopped it. But look at War in the back, takes out 3. Wow. And that is kind of the weakness of this team composition. Without any backline really to their name, Red supports, being Na'Vi playing Ana, we have the Lucio as well, really don't have any defense. And it's easy for a player like Waru, for these really great, amazing Genji players, to get back and just tear things up in the chaos. So, in this case, it might even be better. I understand the Lucio is, okay, it's a Lucio, whatever. But a Zenyatta in this case, to have a Ana-Zenyatta pair in the back to really just shut down any flankers would really be strong here. I would like to see that. But Lunatic High doing they won a fight that they weren't supposed to win there. Just absolutely pulled it out of, I don't know where they pulled it out of, but because they won that fight basically out of nowhere, they do have 6 ultimates now, and Red was trying to end the game there, but unfortunately it's not going to happen. So 6 ultimates are going to come out from Lunatic High, the Nano Blade, the Zarya ultimate, the bomb, the everything. Surprisingly, though, Red actually doesn't do too badly in the fight. They managed to keep a few people alive. They're still down on men, but with the short spawn, it's going to come down to DPS. Lunatic High has to do enough DPS quickly enough to stop the stall from happening, but I don't think it's going to happen because we only have 2 or 3, going on 4 people now left. It's going to take some serious plays, and we actually see the D.Va on Red go down. That's going to be a good start, as well as the Winston. And now that the reinforcements come in, just not enough DPS from Afreeca Red to stop that. If we look here, it was definitely a mistake. There's a lot of time left. We still had a full D.Va with full health, still in the suit. The Genji's going to get it on like a second anyway, but there's pretty much nobody on this point. And what we see Red do is they swap off to full stall here. And, we have the Winston come out. So they swap off to basically no DPS in this case when they had it. We're still stalling out even now, even as the Winston comes out. If this were just a regular old hero, a soldier, a Reinhardt, maybe not a soldier, right? But like a Reinhardt, an actual fighting hero who could do DPS, we would see that this would be a lot more competitive for Red. You have to know when to switch off to a full stall comp and when not to. In that case, they had the time. They didn't have to switch off to this full-on, desperation stall attempt. And they actually capped the point with 3 seconds remaining on the clock. It may be Red's goal was to put them into overtime and to draw the match, because that's what would happen. If we were in overtime, it would be a draw. But it seems strange that they would really specifically go for that. But anyway, we're going to see a full-on aggressive team come from Afreeca Red. Of course, it's what we've come to expect. They've done it over and over and over again. But we see a triple tank composition, very standard, very classic, normal stuff come out for Lunatic High as well. High sustain, that's the important part. See, no one is dying. That is the important apart. And because no one's dying, this mobile team composition for Afreeca Red is not doing anything. Because the whole point is they come, they trade out a couple people, basically suicide themselves, and then they use their high mobility heroes to get back to the point, use that spawn advantage. But because they got no trades, they got no kills, because of all this hit point, all these hit points, all the sustain you see from Lunatic High, nothing's really going to happen. They had to get the kill on Jaehong, basically, on that Ana player. They had to. Or at the very least, on Lucio. Without that, there's no way that this team on Afreeca Red can take out this team on Lunatic High. And we're going to see that this is easily held, just like I said, because of the team composition difference. They had to get that trade early on. That's how this team works. And they just didn't get it. So I like that Lunatic High went for this team composition here, because I mean, we've seen Red go for that this entire match. It's obvious that's what they were going to go for. You need a little bit more of a sustainable composition, deal with that, prevent them from trading you out. But now we're going in again, and they're trying the exact same strategy to go in, trade people out, and use the spawn advantage. But we see this is probably going to be bad, because Afreeca Red does not have a team composition that is exactly the most sustainable thing in the world. So trades come out, not even trades, just a straight up pick on Lagerman, the Zarya player for the defenders now, played by Afreeca Red, of course, and Winston gets very low, but it's okay. It's okay. Trades are good for Lunatic High. That's the entire point of their composition, but they're getting more than trades. They're getting kills. They're getting everything right now. And this team composition does not work on defense, guys. It just doesn't. I don't like being so harsh on team compositions. I don't like saying, oh, that thing is just bad, it never works, because I just don't believe in that. I think that with proper gameplay, most things can work. But this, I don't know. On the first point of King's Row, it pretty much goes against the entire concept of, okay, the defenders have a short spawn, so we need to sustain, we need to prevent trades. This team composition doesn't really help it out very much, and we're going to see the results of that pretty clearly. And, last time Lunatic High went for the sustainable team, did very well. And this time Red went for the aggressive team, didn't do so well. And that was twice in a row. So really, I like the idea. I really think that team composition is cool. That hyper mobile team comp with the Genji, with the Tracer, with the Lucio, all that. Super fun to look at. The camera work could be a little bit better. Like I said before, I kind of did a little bit of a rant. But all in all, on at least the first point of King's Row, I really think that it isn't necessarily the best. But like I said, I don't like ruling strategies out, because I think that most things can always be overcome with gameplay and proper tactics, decision making, and teamwork. So anyway, guys, let me know what you thought of the match. Did you enjoy it? I've been enjoying Apex. Lots of crazy games like this. And what do you think? Do you agree that the camera could be a little bit more tame, maybe on a support hero at the very least, a tank, maybe just in third person? I personally love the third person. But anyway, I digress. I hope you all enjoy your weekend. Never forget to stay positive. Have a great day. Peace out, guys.